Professor?
You're gonna find this hard to believe.
I was sent here for you.
From the future?
50 years from now.
Could you give me that one more time, please?
Stay with me. In the beginning.
Nick, that X-Men Days of Future Past, it's just like Back to the Future, man. You know, like Wolverine goes back in time, finds his mom, kisses his mom, then he has to get his parents back together at the Under the Sea dance.
Were we watching the same movie?
Isn't that the same thing?
No, because the one I saw, he went to the future, and then he had to stop the ancestor of his bully from beating up everybody.
Oh, you know, it's I heard
Had to protect his son.
I heard one about him going back to the West, and then he was being a cowboy. And all right, anyways, that joke is ran long enough. We're talking about X-Men Days of Future Past. This is probably the biggest X-Men movie to come out in recent memory, because shit, you damn near get anybody who's ever been in an X-Men movie in this movie.
Except for two.
Except a few of them. They don't have a few of them, but yeah. I mean, one of them's not in it because honestly, yes. Honestly, spoilers for X-Men, Last Stand, because it's an old movie. Rogue gives up her powers, so she wouldn't really be much use to him anyways.
Yeah, well, she's in this movie.
Yeah, barely. Without spoiling anything, yeah, we'll get around to that. Anyways, yes, this is a movie, I like it. I'd have to say this is probably my favorite X-Men movie.
And me as well. And I've said that with pretty much every X-Men sequel except for 3 in Origins.
Well, yeah, so basically Wolverine. Wolverine.
Well, no. Even Wolverine I liked. Actually, not Wolverine I didn't like as much as First Class.
Yeah, I was like, for a while there, I really like the First Class universe, and that's where this movie really takes place. And I mean, it shows the futuristic, and one of my problems with the movie is the fact that it seems like, from Wolverine that came out last year and this movie, I kind of feel like I missed something. Because when they just start out, because when they just start out in like the Sentinels, like in the beginning, the Sentinels are just
which
there.
Are basically the fucking destroyers from Thor.
Oh yeah, they really are. They look exactly like them. They act damn near like them.
They're just more agile.
And more agile, and they can adapt a little bit better. They don't just get their ass kicked by someone's superpowers immediately.
Yeah, because they have rogue powers
from
Mystique.
Yes, I know. They have rogue powers from Mystique, even though someone pointed out something funny. And First Class, you remember Darwin?
Yeah.
He actually has the powers that they're trying to do, where he can adapt to any situation. It's like, yeah, they already had an X-Men that could do that. But anyways, we're getting a little off tangent. Yeah, I feel like they really skipped something there, and I really kind of want to see the movie in between that, of the Sentinels doing what they do best. Because for people who don't know, it takes place 10 years after the Wolverine, and Sentinels, they destroyed Earth. They turned on humans, they,
put everything into a perpetual night.
Yeah.
Every scene in the future is just dark.
Yeah, everything is just night all the time, shitty weather, there's just, like, industry ruled the world. And, they enslaved everybody. Humans, mutants, everything. And then,
I think just see, X-Men, Rise of the Sentinels.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And this movie is, then they, of course, they have to send Wolverine back in time, because he's the only one that would actually look the same if you sent him back in time without hiring another actor. So they send Wolverine back in time to basically get the X-Men together and stop the Sentinels from being ever created in the beginning. It's a really cool thing, because they do jump back and forth between times, not as often as you would think. Because, normally, when I honestly was getting into this, I was thinking, we're going to see, anything Wolverine does is going to go back into the future, and they're going to see it. No, really, it doesn't.
Were you thinking,
you think if he, slapped a butterfly,
Spider-Man Edge of Time status?
Yeah, literally everything he does.
Or Looper, even.
Yeah, Looper. If he kills somebody in the past, say, a random guard's like, hey, stop, and he, stabs them, that it would somehow change the future.
Some fucking butterfly effect, and dinosaurs are still roaming the earth.
Yeah, something crazy.
They're half chimpanzee.
They deal with the time travel thing, but that's really loosely time travel. They also introduced some mutants that are just there for fan service, honestly. Blink, Toad. Quicksilver. Yeah, even though Quicksilver, they promote the shit on him, guys. He's hardly in the fucking movie.
Yeah, I saw something, Quicksilver, worst thing about X-Men advertising, best thing about the actual movie.
Yeah, he was great. Anyone who had their doubts about Quicksilver, I was like, yeah, he was great.
It'll be interesting to see the Avengers version
in the movie. They could have figured out another way to not have that character in there. I mean, unless they expand on him in the next movie or something, there was really no point of having him there when he was only for maybe a minutes.
I feel like they brought him in to keep him around because he got so popular.
Yeah, and it'll be, yeah, as you said, it'll be really interesting next year to see what the Avengers does. But this movie, it's a fantastic film with, and people like to try to bring up any plot holes they can figure out from this one and the third film, but if you think about it, there's like 7 films?
Yeah.
7 films, okay? Kind of a little slack, guys.
7 films and 3 directors.
The 7 films, 3 directors. Bryan Singer, who directed this one, he's the best X-Men director in my opinion. Because he did 1 and 2. I forget if he did First Class or not.
I don't believe he did.
And he did this one. And he's Bryan Singer, in my opinion, Nick, he's not so much on Wolverine's dick as everyone else is. He's more about just the overall X-Men. And this one, even though I said Wolverine goes to the past, the story doesn't really center around Wolverine at all.
Oh, no.
He's there as kind of just the hunter. He's kind of like the audience, where he's just like, what is happening? What's going on? And then you have Beast and Magneto and Professor X, young, of course, all explaining what happens. And they actually do explain a few things, like why in the trailer when you see Beast all human again, because that character wanted some fucking face time. That's the only reason why I see them doing that, Nick. It's because the actor who played him wanted some screen time. He didn't want to just be covered in blue all the time. I also have to say, though, they did fix Beast from First Class, because in First Class, when he becomes Beast, it looked kind of shitty.
This one looked good.
Yeah, this one looked good. This is really, I don't know. I really dig the story overall. I feel like they made a kind of a big deal about Peter Dinklage being in it too, and I don't really think they used him.
Fan service.
Yeah, they didn't use him to his full potential as Trask. I mean, Trask is in it, and has a few scenes where he's trying to get the Sentinels going, but
Trask was like the biggest X-Men villain.
He's like how Magneto, some people can actually see his side, where he's like, well, he's just trying to fight for his rights, he's trying to, they're second-class citizens. He's kind of like the Malcolm X of this universe.
He really is.
Yeah, Malcolm X mixed with a little Hitler, because he does have a kind of a genocidal thing sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to see Genosha in a fucking movie.
Dude, I do. I want to see, and yet again, for some people who don't know, they do have Ian McKellen, and, they have, what's his face? Patrick Stewart. They have all, the original X-Men in this movie. And they're really not as big as the, First Class guys.
That's because that movie takes place in the First Class.
Yeah, it does. And I would honestly, Nick, after seeing this movie, I do want to see one based on that future story. Because I dig that future aspect. The whole the future's fucked and we're trying to stop the Sentinels in our own way, and I kind of feel like they made the Sentinels a little bit overpowered in this movie.
I wanted, because they were fast and agile, I wanted the old school big.
Well, we kind of saw that.
Story Sentinels.
That was the thing when they started this film, though, Nick. When people were kind of complaining about the size of the Sentinels, how they were maybe like 9 feet tall, and that's about it. But when they show it in the 70s, the Sentinels are the slower moving, kind of just machine gun.
Yeah, but they're not the like 2-story ones.
No, they're not. They're not gigantic ones. Who's the main Sentinel, though? You know this. I know, because we both know this. I'm trying to remember his name. Because they missed kind of a big story arc with that whole Sentinel thing, where one of the Sentinels gains consciousness and decides everyone's fucking dead.
Which they gloss over it. They just kind of say, like, oh yeah, the Sentinels decide everybody's evil.
Yeah, they just say it in the beginning, just like, yeah, everybody's evil. The 70s, I kind of dig the 70s era, though. I did the 70s. I
think it's funny Bryan Singer made an appearance in that movie, too.
Where was he?
When Mystique jumps out of the window in Paris, he's the person capturing it all on camera.
Oh, that's him? Nice. I don't really know what Bryan Singer looks like too often.
I don't either. I just read it somewhere.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I know who he is. I just don't know what he looks like. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I dig the movie. It has a lot of the things that you love about First Class in it. It has a really personal story with Mystique, has Magneto, and what's his face, Professor X. All of them.
Why can you not remember his name?
I don't know.
It's the second time you stumbled on it.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. Yeah, they get a real personal story with them, and they did something interesting where they did a little thing why Xavier is able to walk. Which I feel like that was just an excuse. That way they didn't have to try to figure out how to keep him in a wheelchair the whole fucking time. Because that would be kind of a pain in the ass. I do dig it, though.
And it was kind of like a PTSD thing for him, too.
Oh yeah, all of them had that. Like, Magneto, he suffered loss, and you can actually see when his character decided to really make that darker turn, when he decided, like, no, the hell with humans. This is what they've been doing. I want them all dead, type of mentality. And you can understand his point of view. A lot of the characters from First Class do not make an appearance. Jennifer Lawrence and the kid who played Beast, those are the only two.
And Havoc.
And Havoc, he makes a small appearance.
Oh, one line.
Yeah, just, hey, how's it going? Like, literally, that's, like, about it. All the others from First Class are gone, except for, of course, Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy. Of course, they came back.
And Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult?
Beast.
Okay, I didn't know his name. I never seen that get in.
Oh my god, learn your fucking culture.
I never seen him in anything else besides First Class.
Let's see, Jack the Giant Slayer.
Oh, yeah. That
Warm Bodies.
That movie was also kind of shitty. Yeah, okay. Anyways. It's, I don't know. I'm trying to think how to else describe this movie besides it's fucking fantastic. I mean, believe the hype. This is another one of those. This is a good year for comic movies, Nick.
I'm not gonna lie. The second the movie started and they showed that future scene and everyone was like,
oh yeah. It's actually really funny. I feel like I should tell the story here of you and I. We went to see midnight premiere of this, and we went in one theater, and it was somehow, Nick, we got in the theater like it's like the Ticketmaster just said, "Fuck it, let's throw these guys in the theater with these, with the biggest group of douchebag people that would go see an X-Men movie."
That all knew each other.
They all knew each other, and they decided to be the loudest human beings possible. And
if any of you are listening to this, go fuck yourself. Get off right now.
I doubt any of them are.
You don't know. You don't know their lives.
I don't. That would be funny if they were.
God.
Basically, alright, me and Nick, we picked a seat and we're like, alright, there's plenty of empty rows. And what these people do is they're just like, oh, we're gonna just scoot it right next to these guys. And they're basically trying to it was like some blob trying to melt us into their group type of thing. And it was starting to piss me off because they were rowdy as fucking hell. I'm sorry. Show some fucking class when you go to a theater. Really, you just sit down, have the chat with your friends or whatnot, and just don't act like a douchebag.
Which is why, had they tried to speak to us, I would have told them to go fuck themselves. Wolverine status.
We were getting pissed, and then eventually,
one of us more than the other.
I don't know, it was me. Yeah, I know, I'll admit, I was getting a little pissed off. I was like, God damn, you gotta be kidding me. And we actually had to get up and go to another theater that was thankfully showing the same time. So we just kind of moved. It wasn't even movie hopping because it was the same movie, same time, just different theater. Much better experience. I feel like I would have had to do a walkout if we had to stay in there.
Yeah, you would have been sitting there for a while because I wouldn't have left.
Yeah, I would have walked out. I probably would have went to another theater. Anyways, yeah. I can't think of anything else besides they make mutant powers look fucking amazing in this. Again.
Even Blink, I've never been a big Blink fan of it. That's pretty cool.
They make her powers awesome. They make
Colossus is even a bigger role.
Sort of. You just see you get to see a little bit more Colossus action. Iceman, you get to see him actually do something.
Yeah, because he doesn't do shit in the trilogy.
He really doesn't do shit until the X-Men Last Stand, where he does one thing.
And he's there as a love interest.
Yeah. I hate that love triangle bullshit they're trying to do. Which in 3 and 2.
It's been a long time since I've seen 3.
3 is pretty bad. There was this one. It's just excellent writing all the way. It's just I can't say enough good things about this. I'm trying to think of anything bad about the movie, and the only thing I could say is they probably could use more explanation of what was going on, of why this was happening, why because they kind of even in the First Class era, when you go back to the 70s, a lot of shit has happened. And they kind of gloss over why you don't see certain characters, but they just show it. They don't even explain it. They're just like, yeah, they're gone. And that kind of got under my skin a little bit. I'm just like, no.
I feel like, they didn't want to deviate from the story.
I understand, but I feel like, Nick, I missed a whole fucking movie. I feel like I should have seen First Class Part 2 and then Days of Future Past or something. Or I really do feel like I missed out on something here. Because, with the Wolverine going all the way to, the whole Sentinels taking over the whole world, I'm like, I missed something. And the same thing with the Days of Future Past. Like, oh, why are half the X-Men gone? Why is Professor X all mopey right now? Like, they explained that one a little bit better than the others. But it's still just, because at the end of First Class, he was all like, oh, yeah, I'm awesome. I'm getting the school ready and everything. And then all of a sudden just, fuck life! Just like, whoa. wow, you think you would have had this, like, after the incident, but whatever. So, anyways, I have some little problems with the plot. The pacing is fine. I think it does perfect where it mixes comedy in with tragedy. It's a tragedy. But, yeah, I really dig it, and it really will have, this is one of the few X-Men movies, Nick, I can safely say, will have you actually say, oh, fuck, a few times.
Oh, yes, no, even, especially right in the beginning.
Oh, right in the beginning, I was like, oh, shit!
Yeah,
Okay!
The opening scene, I was like, holy shit!
No, really? And then towards the end, they had another one of those, and it's a real just fun ride. I'd have to recommend seeing it in theaters. Not for like the special effects or anything, but just to see it as immediately as possible, because this is one of those movies, folks, you gotta be careful on the internet, because this is another one where I feel like it might pull a Captain America syndrome, where people might be tempted to spoil it. You know.
That Hydra thing is hard.
Well, no, I'm not talking about Hydra. I'm talking about, if you go to movie sites that have a community or whatnot, there are some human beings out there that love to spoil anything popular. Like, anytime I see Game of Thrones, Nick, anything Game of Thrones, I have to just get away from it, because for all I know, it's just spoiling one of the episodes.
Oh, no, it is.
Yeah, that's
because
it.
I keep up with the episodes, so I can look at it. It's like, that's a joke about last night's episode.
Exactly. But anyways, Nick, closing thoughts and random metaphor with this game. Or movie.
Yay!
That's not a metaphor.
No, but it is a closing thought.
Closing thoughts? Alright, random metaphor to fit with this movie.
Elevators smell different to midgets.
That's horrible, because Peter Dinklage is in this movie. Freaking horrible. My closing thoughts is this is a great fucking movie. Best X-Men movie to come out. Makes me excited for the next one. I hope Bryan Singer's still with it, because honestly, Bryan Singer to me is like the Marvel version of, or the X-Men Fox version of, Christopher Nolan.
Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. Like, he's one of those directors you just want to have stapled to it, because if you get, who was the other one? Bryan Singer? Was 3?
No, Bryan Singer was 1 and 2 there, dipshit.
Was it? Then who the hell was 3?
Oh, no.
3? Alright, whatever. Yeah, and random metaphor, I don't know. I can just say random thing is, when is X-Men Babies coming out? That's what I want to see. Where Wolverine goes back in time and just becomes a daycare person, like, God damn it, everyone's crying! Make it stop!
Before they even know each other, they're all scattered around the world.
Well, you know how it is. They do, they did Muppet Babies. I want X-Men Babies. Alright, that is it. Oh, wait. Ratings. 5. 4.5. Like I said, I feel like I missed something. Anyways, that is it, everybody. Good night.